All right, welcome back. This is your GMC Sierra tweet of the night from Rothstein. Shades of Black Hinson as a trail 4-man for the Panthers on that final play. What a win for Pitt. On the road without Damian Dunn, as we mentioned, Jeff Cable has a top 25 team. It is a very early season. It's a really early season right now. Bold statement, but also maybe not that bold. I mean, you know, again, Pitt Panthers without one of their best players, and they're still able to go and get it done in a very tough environment. I mean, they were unbeaten at home. Pitt hands them their first loss at home, so a huge victory by Pitt. But we have a big game on Sunday. The Steelers looking to get right after what happened in Cleveland. You know, we've been talking about it the past few weeks, Jason. Tough stretch right now. They're in the middle of this hard divisional stretch. I thought it would be extremely shocking if they came out of this run 4-0. I knew, they'd probably end up dropping one. Let's hope the one in Cleveland is the only one. But now they go to Cincinnati and face a very high-powered offense. Yeah, Cassidy, this is a really hard schedule for them to finish. I'm not sure we realized how hard it was going to be. And the Cleveland loss hurts. I think it puts the onus on sweeping Cincinnati at this point. I think you could have lived with a split against Baltimore, a split against Cincy, and a sweep of Cleveland. Well, you're not going to sweep Cleveland now, so you need to get this Bengals game. And this is frankly a pretty good Bengals team. I was reading this week, PFF called them the best 4-7 team in history. I don't know, I haven't done a deep dive on 4-7 teams throughout history, but I know that Joe Burrow is really good. I know that Jamar Chase is really good. I know that T. Higgins is really good. And frankly, the Steelers have struggled scoring points the past 2 weeks, 18 and 19 in their past 2 games. So to me, they're going to have to outscore the Bengals, and that's going to take solving some of their red zone issues, solving some of their short yardage issues, figuring out how to use Justin Fields and Russell Wilson appropriately, targeting the right people. The Steelers' offense has been a bit underwhelming the past couple of weeks, at least in terms of obtaining touchdowns. So I'm looking for that to change. Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati, they go out, score 5 touchdowns and lose to the Ravens. The Steelers couldn't find the end zone once and walk away with a win. I just don't see that happening for the Steelers with Cincinnati. Now, you mentioned the red zone issues, those short yardage issues. It's an issue on both sides of the ball right now. Against the Ravens, 0 for 4 in the red zone. In Cleveland, they were 1 for 2. On the defensive side right now, this defense is allowing 90% touchdowns inside the 20. So just really have to clean it up in the red zone. And how do you think they're going to be able to do that in Cincinnati against such a high-powered offense? Cassidy, one of the things that I'm amazed by the Steelers right now is their lack of pressure on the quarterback. Through 11 games, they only have 25 sacks. That's very un-Steelers-like. Right now, T.J. Watt is on pace for 11.5 sacks this season. That would be his lowest total in a non-injured season. They need to get that turned around. I think that's stating the obvious, but at the same time, that's how you harass Joe Burrow. They need to force him into some decisions, and that's tough too because Joe Burrow does extremely well against the blitz, so they're going to have to get home with their defensive linemen, maybe one blitzer, something like that. But yeah, if they're able to, play a little bit more rush than coverage, I think that's how you get right. But this defense has been, bend don't break for a little while, and lately they've been breaking more than they would like. Yeah, and then with the red zone offense, I think what's really interesting, you have Mike Williams. He goes out there, makes the game-winning touchdown in Washington, and he hasn't really been targeted since. And he came out, and I read something or heard him say, that he is clutch in the red zone. I just don't really know why we're not seeing him more out there more. I'm with you. I don't have any great answer. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. I mean, don't tell me he doesn't know the playbook, because that play in Washington, it wasn't even drawn up for him. It was supposed to be Calvin Austin. Yeah. Mike Tomlin makes basically an audible with personnel and says, I want some size in here, which is great. That makes sense. Why can't they do that more? I don't know what Mike Williams did to whom or whatever, but you give up a 5th-round pick for the guy. This afternoon, I'm watching the Chiefs, and DeAndre Hopkins makes an absolutely ridiculous catch, drew another penalty. I mean, that's the type of impact the Steelers should be getting out of Mike Williams, and they're not getting anything in the same zip code right now. Yeah, and then also in the middle of the field. I feel like Pat Freiermuth is not playing as big of a role as we kind of expected with this Arthur Smith offense. I think we all kind of expected him to come in and use those tight ends more, and I just feel like, he's out there blocking almost every play. Yeah, I don't understand what they're doing with some of these personnel groupings. Yeah. Like Michael Pruitt's on the field more than he should be. Connor Hayward's on the field more than he should be. You went out before the season and paid Pat Freiermuth a lot of money. Use him. That's okay.
No, they used him a little bit more against the Browns, but still, I mean, I want to see Pat getting 7, 8, 9 targets a game in the red zone. I don't want to see him coming out. The way this was supposed to work, you've got George Pickens to take the top off of a defense. Mike Williams should help him in that regard. I thought that was supposed to open things up for Pat over the middle, for Calvin Austin, for Van Jefferson, whatever, and thus far it hasn't happened.
Yeah, let's hit those phone lines real quick. Anthony in Verona. Anthony wants to talk some Steelers. What's going on? Oh.
Anthony.
Are you hearing him? I'm not hearing him.
My birthday.
There he is.
Happy birthday.
The Steelers, did they go win Cincinnati?
Man, I hope so. They need it. That's for sure. They really need to turn this around and get right.
He just called in to say it was his birthday.
I know. I think he just wanted a little bit of attention and love. Well, happy birthday, man. Let's go to Michael in Beaver Falls. Michael, what's going on?
Well, good evening, Cassidy and Will. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
The Steelers are going. Happy holidays, young guys. The Steelers are going to open it up wide. They're just waiting for the right time. They know they're up against the wall, and they're going to prove to everyone that they really do have the talent and the weapons to accomplish the mission for a W. Get ready. Here we go. Go Steelers.
All right, Michael. Hey, you sound very optimistic, and we're all hopeful with you. But like we said, it's going to be very difficult. This offense is not going to get away with what they've been doing in these past few games. They're going to have to go out there and put up, I mean, at least 30 points, I think, in order to come out with a win. I know that sounds crazy, but my score prediction is 30-27.
Yeah, I'm right with you. I think I said 33-27. I think they have to score 30 to win this game. I do. And I think Joe Burrow is very dangerous. If you look at his season, Cassidy, I mean, he'd be in the MVP discussion right now if they were any good. And they've had a bunch of losses by, a field goal, a touchdown, like one possession losses that they find a way to lose. They should have beaten the Chargers. But, yeah, it's been a weird season. At some point, I do believe that that's going to turn the other way for them. And regardless, I don't think the Steelers are going to win this by completely shutting down that offense.
Right, and then some news that did come out today. We were hopeful all week that Alex Highsmith would be back out there on Sunday, but I did see today he got downgraded to doubtful. I mean, he told us he felt almost close to good to go last Saturday, but they wanted to take that extra week just to really get right. But it looks like he was super limited in practice yesterday. He did a little bit more today, but then he was downgraded to doubtful.
Yeah, I don't see him playing in this one, Cassidy, which is a shame. I mean, they're 6-0 this season when Alex Highsmith plays. He's a big part of them stopping the run. I think that's one of the reasons T.J. Watt hasn't produced his typical numbers. On the other side, look at Nick Herbig. He's been hurt. Highsmith has been hurt. Preston Smith has been, hasn't really done much since the trade outside of that first game. So, I mean, they need Highsmith back, but I understand waiting until he's good enough to go. He talked earlier in the week about being able to push off. That ankle is not feeling completely right at this point. I don't see a point in rushing him back. If it takes another week to get him to 100%, I'm willing to wait it.
Yeah, I agree with you on there. But we have yet to see Nick Herbig and Alex Highsmith both healthy at the same time. I feel like they've been kind of trading off. So hopefully he'll get right here soon. But we are going to head to break. One more time, give us a call, 412-575-2600. We want to hear from you guys. All right, guys. Well, we do have another caller, so let's take this one before we run out of time here. Paul from Salzburg. Paul, what's going on?
Well, what I can't understand, Cassidy, is when we picked up Arthur Smith as our offensive coordinator. To me, he's horrible. He's just when we get down, you have a Super Bowl winning quarterback that can't get the ball to the receivers in the end zone, and it's all they do is run right up the middle every time, and it's stop the man, we score no touchdown. So forgive me, I can't appreciate what they do in the red zone with the offensive line and the running backs.
Yeah, I mean, I think you might have a little PTSD there, Paul, with Matt Canada, just a little bit. I do think Arthur Smith, I mean, his offense, it looks very different than what we've seen in recent years. And I think it is a little bit more exciting than what we've seen in recent years. But I get the frustrations in the red zone right now.
Yeah, I think we need to relax a little bit. I mean, Arthur Smith's offense have been, at other places upwards of 70% in the red zone. Russell Wilson's offenses have been 60 to 70% in the red zone. We're 11 games into the season. They've had a quarterback change. They had 4 really good games. Frankly, the past 2 have not been good. They certainly need to fix some of what ails them. Russell Wilson's ability to deliver the ball is not what I'm worried about with this offense. Some of the play calling, I do understand Paul's point there. They've run a lot in the red zone. They've run too much. They've become a little bit too predictable. But I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not going to say Artie Smith has done some fantastic job and we should throw a parade for him, but I'm also not going to bury him and say he's been terrible. He's just been kind of okay.
Yeah, and I think obviously on Sunday it's going to be a huge tell because like we've been saying, this has to be a big offensive showing, no doubt, on Sunday. So I think it'll be a huge test for that Arthur Smith offense, and hopefully they can string together a couple touchdowns. That would be nice. But I do want to mention before we go, Pitt, final regular season game at Boston College tomorrow. Nate Yarnell, it was announced tonight, is getting the start, so Eli Holstein will not be playing in that final game. They are going to a bowl game. Who knows? Maybe, he'll be able to get in there in the bowl game, but just such an unfortunate ending to what was such an awesome season to start with. I mean, they were 7-0. Riding high. We were even thinking at times possibly college football or college playoff contention, and now it's just kind of the wheels fell off a little bit.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say about them at this point, Cassidy.
Yeah.
I really don't. I mean, it's so sad. They really need to win tomorrow. I do believe that. You don't want to go into a bowl game having lost 5 in a row. Your season is just this gigantic tailspin. Talk about how unattractive a bowl would feel at that moment. I mean, at least if you can beat Boston College, you can go into a bowl thinking, all right, there's some reasons for these 4 losses. But, yeah, I mean, offensively, too. They were world beaters. They were one of the best offenses in the country.
Right.
And now they're struggling to string much together.
Right. Such a bummer. But hopefully they can turn it around tomorrow. Guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And please come back tomorrow. I'll be here hosting the sports call. So I'll hopefully see you guys then. Have a great night.